What is my full pack today? I'm going to be doing something that I have been wanting to do for a long time, and that is making my own season, aka making my own map. So, let's just check. How is Midas Meow or how is Meowth Meowskull's still down there? Anyway, welcome to Loot Landing. Ignore the stuff out there. That was more for this map, or this area specifically. That's just prefabs. So, the idea for this, my own season is another factions versus factions type of map. Similar to the one that we have now, kind of like a rivalry system, except it has more to do with Midas, and I'll get more into that if I end up going through with this idea of creating basically my own chapter, which would be chapter 10. Why I'm choosing 10 is because, um, just because. So chapter 10 is the one that I'm going for. Fortnite Chapter 10, the first season is going to be gold versus silver, or silver versus gold. So the idea is that there are two factions. I will not spoil it, but you will see in future videos. But yeah, so here's my first POI that is a golden POI, which is basically the faction is obviously gold versus silver, and this is essentially a Midas takeover. Like, there are different POIs, right? There's silver POIs and gold POIs. This one will always be golden. There are some places that like transition between gold and silver, but this area will remain gold. Loot Landing, obviously a reused POI somewhat to Loot Lake, but this is not it. Essentially, what this area is, what I was thinking it could be, is that this would be in the middle of not just this. Obviously, if we're making the entire map, like, as big as the current one, this is going to have basically the water, like, kind of like Loot Lake itself, like, as big as Loot Lake. But imagine that there's, like, islands, like, the rest of the island is out here, right? So, you take these zip lines up, yeah, so, Meowskulls is stuck under the rocks. I need to fix that, but Meowskulls is supposed to be here. You take the zip line up, and then obviously this is like a mini island, just escalated. Which I guess you could say this is literally just Loot Lake, but like mutated, which, you know, that's fine. But this is the first thing you will probably see, unless you are blind. Sorry. And this is the Meowskull's house, the cat house, if you will. But yeah, you could clearly see this is literally just. Also, I chose not to add braking because, yeah, we had issues with this braking. But yeah, so you come in here, and then you see Kit, and right now all these guys can be hired. Obviously, not all of them are going to be able to be hired, just Kit and other ones. There's a lot of chests here because this is meant to be loot landing, meaning you're supposed to get a lot of loot. But yeah, so basically this is just a reused asset from the first chapter and second chapter. I mainly did this just so, like, you know, right now I have every item in here. So, like if you search these chests, oh, it's just gonna give you primal weapons? Oh no. Okay, yeah. So why is it just giving me SMGs? Okay. There we go. So yeah, this is the first POI, or first part of the POI. I think I'm going to add a third house for Brutus, but that's going to be a part of a quest line, actually. And you take another zip line up here, and this is the main house. The main loot landing house, probably the main area people will actually care about. Yeah, so let me tell you a story about this house. I had to go back and forth, which is why this is here. Had to go back and forth memorizing, taking bits and pieces from this. And yeah, and unfortunately they do not have Loot Lake House as its own thing, so I had to get the cube thing and then bring it up here and then blah blah blah. So it was a very long process, but it worked and it's worth it. So you come in here, we have a lot of stuff. We have Midas, which I'm going to get into that in a bit. This is not the final look of him for me. Because we just need another variant for this specific era of Midas. This is basically not a vacation home, it's more of like a settlement, if you will. But yeah, so all of the items that are in these chests are not the final thing, right? I'm going to be making my own weapons, my own ideas for weapons, and own mythics. So, yeah. So basically, then you come over here. This is the main difference between between everything. So, as you can see, there is a bit of a storyline going on here. The Authority is trying to rebuild, right? The Authority people, Midas's crew, is trying to rebuild, and they chose this area because this is the one of, if not the tallest POI in the island. So this is like where they hold all of the power and stuff. Let's go in depth. So we have a XOR chopper over here. I think I'm going to leave it as an XOR chopper, but I do plan on making my own vehicles for this new chapter. But yeah, so we have an XOR chopper. Really like it, honestly. So yeah, they're working with the XOR, obviously. Kind of picking up where the chapter 6 left off. You come in here, Jules has a mythic exterminator minigun. You could hire her. You can't hire Midas, and you're not going to be able to hire Meow Skulls. I had to set them all to hireable, so then they actually had their own names. But basically, this is where Jules will be. And I know what you are probably thinking, isn't this a lot of NPCs? Well, yes. That's the thing. Is that, that's why I did not add Brutus yet. But he will eventually, in my mind, be added later. Maybe even make it an extension of this area, so then he can have his own little area. So, this is where Jules basically has her workshop, you know, chapter 5 assets. Then this is where she sits and starts planning builds and stuff. Fuel for the planes out here. And yeah, essentially, the Authority aka Ghost, are planning to rebuild and are, you know, basically coming back together and reestablishing order. Which, if you know anything, like, with the help of the Seven and Hope and Jones and basically everybody who has been in the storyline is helping Midas regain power. Why? Because that was their deal of why Midas was helping them against the Dark Presence, was to essentially find a new home to regain power. Now, this is where we start differentiating from the usual things. These are not going to be the planes that are... These are not going to be the planes that are shown here in my headcanon. There's going to be different planes made by Jules and stuff. And also, obviously, this is not going to be the Jules. Right now, they do not have Outlaw Midas and Elite Jules as a style for them, which is unfortunate, but makes sense. They're newer, but yeah, just imagine that's Elite Jules. Jules will stay the same. Jules, Meowscles might change. Okay, so Meowscles and... Okay. So I'm going to be thinking of a new skin for Midas and Meowscles. Kit and Jules are going to stay the same. Just obviously that's supposed to be Elite Jules. And yeah. So, the main point of this POI, the main, like, gimmick of this POI, is not just bringing back the old people, the old beloveds. Oh, by the way, this is pretty... So the idea is that they're still moving in. That's the thing. There's going to be dialogue, which will probably be in my next video about this. The dialogue is essentially... Midas says, we're still moving in, bless this mess. Essentially just being a dad. But, you see this. We're bringing back the Thermite. Now, in here, once you do this, there is a mythic chest. Yeah, there's a mythic chest in here. I wish I could show you guys. But yeah, obviously there's going to be Thermite. You get Thermite again. And then you blow up this. And then you get whatever in here. Yeah, so that is my idea for this POI. I don't know how people will take it. I don't know if you guys will like it. If you do, drop a like. I'm thinking of doing something under here. But I don't know. It's kind of just a blank space. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. It's pretty barren. It's a pretty barren POI, but it's my POI. So, yeah. I don't know if you guys like this concept of bringing the authority back, but yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of this POI. It was very difficult. I had this idea for a long time, but creative was broken. Like, I literally could not place any of these walls anywhere. Other than, like, on the ground out there. So, how I did this was I I basically built structures all the way up underneath this rock. So then it could do that. So, yeah. The next POI, by the way, which is going to be like the main stage, the main area for the silver, people. That one's going to be a lot more tight-knit. It's going to be a lot more of a guess you could say, place. But this is not the only Midas POI. Just so you guys know, this is not the only Midas POI. I'm thinking of, not on this specifically, but I'm going to make different creative islands to show the different, show the different things, if that makes any sense. But yeah, make sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications, and yeah, I will see you guys later. Tell me if you like this idea or not.